Today we are going to talk about how divorce can mess up with your sense of confidence. I hope you're ready. It's a subject I feel like it's not discussed enough. So let's go. Why is it that when we get divorced, we end up walking feeling less than? Today I'm going to go with you into examples. We're going to look at what really happens during the divorce in our mind, how different parts of our psyche gets triggered. I'm going to talk to you about different examples and different areas in life that will influence your sense of confidence after the divorce, during the divorce. We'll talk a little bit about solutions. This is not going to be so much solution based. This is going to be more a video that will help you understand why, if you don't feel strong today, why is that? So, the first thing I want to talk to you about is that from the moment you get this settled in your head that you will be getting divorced, right? Like, what was happening within your psyche next? For many of us, what actually happens is that we make a decision that we must survive whatever's coming next, right? We're like, I just have to be strong through this. And so when we say that to ourselves, even if it wasn't conscious, even if you'd never had that thought, there was a decision somewhere there that you're like, this is gonna be hard, I'm gonna survive it, I'm gonna have to survive it. When we make that decision, there's a part of our psyche that's either gets awakened, if it wasn't really, oh, hello, it gets awakened, or it gets strengthened. And that's the warrior part of you, right? That's you that's ready to fight, that's ready to protect you. Who is on the other side of the warrior? It's the victim. It's the one that doesn't feel like life is fair. It's the one that's like, I have given so much to this marriage. Sometimes the victim is fueled by just how things unfolded financially, right? If you feel like it wasn't fair, how everything got divided, that will trigger the victim. Or like if you have been smeared by the, am I saying, is that a word in English, smeared? Basically what I'm saying is if your spouse has said very negative things about you, right, as a result of the divorce or just whatever was going on during the divorce maybe, and you're like, completely unfair, that's ridiculous, right? But there's a part of it's like, I didn't deserve this. This wasn't fair, right? That's the part that's the victim. So one side, one part of your psyche is like, I'm determined to be strong. I'm determined to do everything it takes. And then the other is one like, the world is not fair. Everything is going wrong. I thought I'll be stronger. I thought that I will have um, something like financially, maybe you're like, I thought I'll be walking away with more, I'll have more security. I thought that these people will be supporting me. They're not supporting me, right? There's the victim voice. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because sometimes what happens is that the warrior gets awakened during these really, really, really difficult moments. And then once the dust settles and you're already on the other side of the divorce, then you're like, okay, now I can take off my armor. And that's when the victim comes out. Because the victim was sitting in there the whole time, but she's been ignored, right? Because you were fighting for your survival. And now the victim is out, and the victim's like, well, let me tell you about what just happened to me. That's when we complain. That's when we're like, this wasn't fair. But you see, here's an issue. And this is the main thing that will chip away at your confidence. If you don't examine that victim voice, if you don't look at your thoughts about the divorce, if they're very negative about your ex-husband, about how just everything unfolded, about the lack of support from the people around you, if you don't look at that closely, there's a big danger, and sometimes it happens, unfortunately, where that story that we're telling to ourselves and the rest of the world about the divorce and everything else that happened, and it's very negative, that becomes the base of our new reality, of how we see ourselves in the reality that's unfolding, the new one that we're creating, you see. So you don't feel strong, you don't feel capable, you don't feel powerful, you don't feel wise. No, you feel a victim of your circumstances, you feel a victim of your world, you feel a victim of your past. Yeah. So how are you supposed to feel strong here, right? That's why it's so important to look at the past. It is. It is. Now, and you do that with me when we do our work, when I work with my clients. The very first thing that we close is the divorce. We say goodbye to the wife. We say thank you to her. We look at all her accomplishments. We look at everything that she's done well and the things that she didn't do very well at all, right? To make sure that we pull out all the lessons, not to criticize her, but to be like, okay, I know that you didn't know any better. This is what you did. But the next time I'm in partnership, I'm not going to be doing these things. This is what I have to watch out for, right? I see that my psyche will do this. I know that that's another one. I know that that's an issue, so I must protect myself from that in the future and make sure that this doesn't happen to me, right? It's where we're being very smart here. But you see, that work has to be done. If that work is not done, it's going to be very hard for you to feel strong because you're dragging the past. You're dragging the past behind you. So, on one hand, is that lack of closing of that chapter properly. Okay, so that's the solution. You have to close your marriage properly. Not only need to look at what you did good and not so good as a wife and what you want to do differently, but we also need to look at your thoughts about your husband, your ex-husband now. We got to look at, okay, this is who this person was to me. This is what he has done or hasn't done. This is what I want to think about him when we were married. This is what I want to think about his actions. From this point on, what do I want to think about him? Do I want this relationship? Because if you have thoughts about someone, you have a relationship with them. Okay? And your ex-husband, yeah, you definitely have thoughts about him. 100%. Even if you're not speaking to each other, you have thoughts about him. Those thoughts can either strengthen you or weaken you, right? So you can decide if you're gonna be till the end of your life saying to yourself, he was the worst person that has ever walked this earth. I cannot believe that I chose him to be my partner. Whatever I did, but like I don't ever want to see him. I don't want to speak to him. He's terrible. You can you can have that story. Or you can also have a story of he was the best teacher I have ever had. I've learned so much thanks to our relationship. So many difficult lessons. I would not be who I am today. I would not have my wisdom. I would not have my strength if it wasn't for this human being. I am so grateful. I am grateful for all the good things we've created together because, there were some good things that you've created with your ex-husband. Even if your mind tells you there was nothing, there were some good things that you've created with your ex-husband. You would have not married him if there were not some good things. So you look at all of it, the good, the ugly, you look at it all, you pull out all the lessons you can, and then we close that chapter with appreciation. Close the chapter with appreciation. And that's when you're going to start feeling more energy to focus on today, right? Because if that is still dragging behind you, you're not going to feel strong here, right? Second problem is that oftentimes we have imagined that when we will be here in this reality, a year after getting divorced, 5 months after getting divorced, maybe 5 years after getting divorced, we have an assumption that this world will look different. And oftentimes, actually, you see what will happen is like if you have had a lot of suffering in your marriage, if you had a lot of frustration, if you felt trapped, there was a part of you that was really hoping to get out. And along with the hope to get out, there's also this like belief that whatever is on the outside is much better than what's within the relationship. Yeah. So you had this thought that like when I will be here on this other side, when I will be out of the marriage, my life is going to be so much better. I am going to be so much happier, stronger, aligned, and just like, oh, different human being. Yeah. And then you end up 5 years after getting divorced, 2 years after getting divorced, whatever is the amount of time, and you're not that person. You are not as empowered. You are not as happy. You are not as successful. Whatever is the version of that future, you're not there. But you're comparing yourself to the ideal that your mind has assumed. And that's not helpful either, right? So these are the emotional, mental things, but then there's also the practical stuff. Like, let's say that your ex-husband was in charge of your finances. Like, he always did all the budgeting, all of it was managed. Your month to month, your, long-term planning, all of that was managed by him. And now it's you, just you. And you have no idea what to do. You feel very confused. You feel very uncertain. It overwhelms you. It paralyzes you. You don't do anything. It could be that maybe, the money that you got from the divorce, that you didn't manage it really well and you ended up spending a lot of it. It happens often, and there's a lot of shame around it, and I want to address it because here's what happens. And many people don't know. Everybody does. We have a certain amount of money that feels safe to us. So let's say that you are used to having $10,000 in your bank account. That's like your safety. Like you're like, okay, if I have 10,000, then I'm okay. That's my safety. And now all of a sudden, you have 200K in that account. To your mind, on a deep, deep, deep subconscious level, that additional money, that 190K, is gonna feel like a problem. Like you must spend it. You must get rid of it. Okay? It's a very normal dynamic. If you find yourself spending more illogically than you should have, you think, that's why. It's because you are subconsciously going to the safety level. That's what that is. Okay. So just know that that's where it comes from. This is not that that there's something wrong with you or you're incapable or whatever you're telling yourself. That's not what it is. It's that your mind is automatically directing you towards your safety. Okay. Here. So it could be that maybe finances, right, have been a problem. And now that you are supposed to do this, you feel overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing here. When you tell yourself, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to money, when it comes to budgeting, you don't feel strong, right? You feel like this little girl that doesn't have a clue what to do. And you're an adult woman, but you feel like a kid, like a little girl. That's a problem, right? It takes away that sense of strength and sense of confidence when we say that to ourselves. Maybe, and this is another area that oftentimes comes up in the sessions, is anything automotive, right? Buying cars, fixing them, taking a car for an oil change, anything automotive. Our husbands often take care of that for us. So when we are faced with buying a car because there's something wrong with the one you have now, or needing a repair, or taking it to a dealership for an oil change, right? It could be something that's simple. If you've never done it because you didn't have to do it in the past, and you feel extremely uncertain how to even go about it, how to do it, that's very normal because you have not done that in the past, you see? But we judge ourselves because we're like, this is not a rocket science. I should know how to do this, yeah? My love, I really want you to consider, what is it that you have done first time ever after you got divorced? Things like that. Things like the examples I have given you. Maybe budgeting. Maybe an automotive kind of a situation where you took your car for an oil change or you signed a different lease. Maybe You rented an apartment all by yourself. You've never done it in the past. Maybe you bought a house. I don't know. Whatever it was, there is effort that goes into figuring it out. There is courage that goes into taking that step. Let's give ourselves credit. Pause this video and make a list of all the things that you had to do very, very first time. And you had no idea how to do it, but you figured it out. Give yourself credit for it, okay? So let's go a little bit. We're gonna just go back to the emotional side of things, okay? Because when a marriage ends, what's underneath it all for many of us is a feeling of failure, right? We made a commitment, we had dreams, we had a specific direction where everything was going, and for whatever reason it didn't work out. That's a heavy weight to carry. And the next thing that happens is we start questioning our job. Did I choose the wrong person? Can I choose the right person? Am I even capable of choosing the right person? Can I judge other human being well enough to recognize what's wrong, what isn't? Can I see the green flags and the red flags? Maybe I can't. Maybe I'm just not good at relationships. You see, the problem is that, like, any sort of questions like that, they will spiral. Your mind will keep on bringing these questions up to hear an answer, for you to find an answer and give an answer. But if you do not give it answer, what's going to happen is you're going to create a lot of doubt. You're going to doubt your intuition. You're going to doubt your self-judgment. You're going to doubt your ability to judge, analyze world, protect yourself. You're going to doubt your ability to make decisions in the future, not just in love, in all areas of life. And there's one extra thing that also chips away at your confidence, and that is maybe you had this, I don't know, I did. It was like I felt unlovable. Like there's something permanently wrong with me. Like maybe I am permanently damaged. Other people can do it. Other people can love, and I can't. Even though, of course, like logically we know that's not true, right? Because of course I can love. My ex-husband, I loved him. I love many people in my life. Love is the main feeling that I feel towards the world. Of course I can love. Many of us have this like tiny little voice in the back of our head that says, see, you are not good enough. Did you have that voice? Is it still there? If you have that voice, that's a problem. That's gonna take away your sense of confidence and your sense of strength. It's brutal. If you allow for that voice, if you allow for those thoughts to become louder and louder and kind of like just land in there and then, like really stick to your brain and keep on coming back to you, oh, baby, it's gonna be hard. And the reason why it's brutal because it's so unfair, right? Because you have spent years of being somebody else's support system, somebody else's person. And that voice that keeps on coming back and like, that wasn't enough. You gave so much of your heart and that wasn't enough. That can really mess with your sense of self-worth. If we don't look at these thoughts, you will be defining yourself by the relationship that has ended rather than who you are as an individual. And the thing about the self-confidence is that like when we take risks in life, when we go after something that we haven't gone after before, where we shift and do something bigger, that's when we show ourselves our strength. That's when we show ourselves that we still got it, right? Here's the problem though. When you were married, you had someone to lean on. Now, if you are single and you don't have that next partner, and you like literally you have to rely on yourself, you're like, I can't take a risk. Are you kidding me? I am by myself. There's no one that I can lean on. I have to figure it out. I must be okay. I must take care of the basic here, of the foundation. I can't take risks. But then when you say to yourself, I cannot take risks, and you convince yourself that there's actually No way for you to be able to like even justify taking bigger risks, smaller risks, doesn't matter. It's like your tolerance for risk shrinks because you have that whole story of I will not be okay. If something happens, I don't have anyone to lean on. And logically, again, it makes all the sense, doesn't it? That would take away your sense of strength and sense of confidence. What else can take away our confidence? Society, what people say about us. Maybe you have had a situation when someone said straight up to you what they thought about you getting divorced and how that's a failure. Maybe they have implied it. Or maybe nobody ever said a word to you, but you think you know what they think about you, and that has influenced your sense of strength. That has influenced your relationship to those people. It has influenced how you feel when you interact with them and overall how you interact in a society, right? So, like your thoughts about them when they think or they find out, they know that you are divorced, that's going to influence how strong you feel within. So, if you assume, for example, that people think of you as a failure, as not good enough, right? Oh, she must have not been good enough wife. She must not be good enough person, not forgiving enough. Well, who knows? Who knows? Who knows what it is that your mind is assuming? But whatever it is, if these are just assumptions, know that that's definitely influencing your sense of strength. And it's also how you judge yourself. I'm not gonna go deeper into it right now, but that's what it is. I hope that this has helped you understand a little bit why you might feel weak and unmotivated and unsure of yourself on this side of things. But this is what I want for you to know. This dip in confidence that happens as a result of the divorce is completely normal. Nothing has gone wrong. This is something to be expected. It's a natural reaction to a significant change in life. But this is not a permanent state. You are still the same incredible woman you were before the marriage, during the divorce. Not only that, that divorce made you stronger. It made you smarter. It made you whom you are today. You have skills today that you did not have before. You had skills, right? That you've developed during the marriage, during the divorce, after everything was done and you started creating this new life for yourself. That's when you started developing new skills. So there's a lot of evidence why there is a lot more strength within you and resilience. We just gotta dig for it, look for it. Here, on this side of things, you can start developing a different kind of confidence, right? A confidence that comes from within, that feels solid and mature and grounded because it's based on your strength, on your resilience, but also on love that you have for yourself, and the knowing that you know who you are, you know what that inner peace within you feels like, you know what you've been through, you love every single aspect of you, you appreciate the good, you appreciate the bad, you've got it all. You've got it all. You've got love and acceptance to all of the parts of you. I told you that I'll give you a small how. And I've told you already about closing the chapter, saying goodbye to the wife, closing the marriage. But a small thing that I can tell you today that will make a big difference is when you start writing down all the good things that you have done in your marriage, after your marriage, all the things that have improved your life in some way, shape, or form, right? Celebrate the little victories. If you had to figure out the car insurance and you did, celebrate it. Give yourself credit. You had to figure out the health insurance. That's confusing. You figured it out. Fantastic. Give yourself credit for it. You do deserve that credit, you see? Especially when we think about how wounded we walk out from our marriages and our divorces. It's not like you walk out and you're like, oh, yeah, everything is great. No, that's not what happens. No, right? It's like we walk out from those situations as though we were walking out from a battlefield. Yeah. We have some wounds we've got to lick. We've got some hard feelings to process. So healing takes time. Building confidence after divorce, it's not a sprint. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. We're gonna allow ourselves to feel these different emotions without judgment, to be uncertain at times, to be confused at times, to be unsure of ourselves. It's normal to be that, but it's also okay to recognize that there's plenty of evidence that you are strong and you are confident and you know what to do. You can be both. You can be unsure and certain, both at the same time. I am not sure how I'll do this, but I am sure that I will keep on trying until I figure it out. See? Both unsure and certain. So, again, not a sprint, this is a marathon. And remember, you are not in this alone. We are in this together. If you need any more explanation to anything that I have said in this video today, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know. I would love for you to share what has been the one big thing that you feel super proud of that you did during the divorce or after, right? Something where you're like, wow, I can't believe I did this by myself. I actually figured it out. And just share it with us. Please do that. And let's inspire each other and let's be the support for each other. All right, my love. Thank you so much for watching today. I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.